welcome to Farkle Garage. I'm Kim Rock. On today's show, Steve's race bike falls to pieces for some off-season TLC. The gang discusses the positives and negatives of electric rides. We get a Peashooter update and Clive shows off his Tiddler? What?
Oh no.
All this and more on this episode of Farkle Garage.
One of the reasons I like this style of bike is because it is old school.
Let me make it simple. Break it on down.
It's 1971 Honda CB500. Old rider, old bike. It's about my speed. It's a transverse 4-cylinder, 4-cycle motor. And I'm just gonna take a moment here and just show you a little bit of what happens, the goings on behind the scenes. It's a complex job, but if you've done it a couple times, it's okay. And most people that have a race bike are pretty familiar with what goes on. This type of stuff, average guy can work on. Still has a regular street 5-speed transmission in it, and I want to install my Nova Engineering 6-speed close ratio transmission. Real Farkle. I basically started in motorcycle shops here in Victoria when I was 13. I worked on tons of Japanese machines and probably had 500 engines that are similar to this apart. It's the challenge that keeps you going. Back then, it was a blur of wrenches and speed. It may not be the same now. The real challenge is to keep them running. Now comes the fun part. You throw it down the track and break it up, it's hard to find bits.
Okay, Clive. Show us your Tiddler.
This is my Tiddler. 1981 Honda C70 step-through Passport. It's the largest volume production vehicle ever manufactured. There was something like 80 million of them made. They're still made to this day. They started building them, I think it was in the mid-50s. But the story isn't really about this particular bike. It's about the Tiddler Run. The Tiddler Run is coming up July 15th of this year, and it's a very loosely kind of organized thing at this point. 250 cc's or less, 25 years of age or older, so that makes it a 92 or older, and we're just going to have a ride about, and we're going to do the loop.
What?
Brentford Loop?
We're going to do the Brentford Loop. Oh yeah, on this.
many
A day-long event, correct? You know?
Yeah, and we're going to do a special pass to vintage motorcycles. My understanding is we might have a guest join us. Right, Bev? A couple other guys from vintage motorcycle world. It all started with myself and my bud Norm. We were over on the mainland and got together, and maybe we had a few too many scotch, and Norm came up with the idea of, hey, let's have a Tiddler run. And of course I said, what's a Tiddler?
I had to Google that.
Yeah, you had to Google that. So that's the plan. And I believe you're going to join us, Steve.
I'm going to find, yeah, but it's something. I may not have something that small, but maybe I'll go 100 cc, right?
I might have. I have a CM 250.
Everybody's invited.
There we go.
There we
Everybody's
go.
invited, but you just try and find a Tiddler for sale. Right? It's not easy.
These are hard to find. I had one up till a month ago, right?
That's right. You were telling me
It's
that.
hard to find, like, you know.
And it was parakeet yellow, like mine, right?
love
I'm gonna go
yellow.
try and buy it back so we'd be a pair of us. You gotta have a buddy system, you know, when you're riding one of those.
Yeah. Anyway, it's going to be a lot of fun, I think.
So that's July 15th. Where is it gonna leave from?
We're going to gather in the parking lot of the 17-mile pub.
Yeah.
And it's going to terminate at Bucky's Tap House.
Cool.
Yeah.
Right on.
Oh, that's cool.
That'll be a laugh.
July 15th. Drop us a line so you too can show us your Tiddler. This is a Farkle you can't see. Riding off-road is different. Have an issue on the side of the highway? You can get help. Have a flat 20K up a trail and it's going to be up to you. Ever fix a rear flat on the trail? It sucks. Many off-road flats are caused by pinching the tube. Huh? When you air down your tires for better traction, you do air down your tires when you head off-road, right? That makes it easier to get the dreaded pinch flat or snake bite. That's where the tube gets caught between the tire and the rim when you hit a rock. Riders have tried all kinds of things to prevent this, from ultra heavy-duty tubes to 26 tennis balls instead of an inner tube. No joking. To running a moose. I said a moose, not a mouse. Imagine a heavy-duty pool noodle inside the tire. But the ultra-heavy tubes are, well, ultra-heavy and hard to repair. The moose is expensive, doesn't allow for pressure adjustment, and normally only lasts as long as the tire. But new tech out of California created a solution. Tubeless. Most spoke wheels need a tube tire. If you get a flat, a plug won't fix it. It means pulling the wheel and patching or replacing the tube. Tubeless virtually eliminates pinch flats. Tubeless protects your rim and allows you to run as low a PSI as you want, even 0 with a stiff roll tire. And you can still make repairs with a plug if necessary. Let me show you how this works. We've got 2 valve stems. One allows the air to come all the way through this inner liner, filling the regular tire chamber. The smaller one fills the inner tube inside this red liner. Pump that up to 110 PSI, forces this out, holding the tire on all the way around. It also acts as a bumper for when you hit rocks and protects your rim. It's lighter than the ultra heavy duty tube, a lot lighter. Unsprung rotating mass, weight, is bad for a couple of reasons. Remember when you had that bicycle wheel off when you were a kid and you gave it a spin? Yeah, it was hard to change its direction, eh? Being able to easily change your wheel's direction is a good thing on a motorcycle. Another reason weight is bad is a heavier wheel is harder for the suspension to control and will not react as quickly as a lighter wheel would. Plus, there's a measurable difference in acceleration with lighter wheel-tire combos. Moose systems have no ability to alter tire pressure. They often need replacing at the same time as the tire. Expensive. Just like the other systems, the tubeless system isn't DOT approved. However, it is well tested off-road and used by hardcore professionals and weekend warriors the world over. Hey Steve, can you hand me that tennis racket?
After the break, we show you something new from Bev's Farm. Our friend Bevan is bringing us another awesome vintage motorcycle story, and Steve and Clive continue the race bike breakdown. We'll be right back. So tell me about this.
My friend, what is this?
The Ner-a-Car.
The Ner-a-Car.
1922 Ner-a-Car, designed in Canada, 1911, by a fellow by the name of Ner-a-Car. Very interesting design, center hub steering, low center of gravity. Quite a brilliant little machine, and way ahead of its time.
When it's running, I guess you'd have to be careful when you're stepping through, eh?
Yeah, you don't want to touch the spark plug. But there's a lot of shielding. Probably keeps you shielded from the weather a lot, I would guess.
It's very good weather protection. And so quite a few ladies bought them.
Steve, now this kind of harks back to Harley. Would this be the first bike with ape hangers?
It looks that way. Very soft.
Very easy rider looking. And the big lever on the side, Bevan, what's...
Okay, well, it has a big flywheel underneath behind the motor, and it has a friction wheel that goes on there. Steve, if you turn this, just turn it, that takes the friction wheel away from the flywheel, and then you pull the lever and you change gear ratios. And it moves along the flywheel, you see.
Like a variable drive.
It's variable drive
transmission.
Planetary gear. Planetary drive.
In 1922.
1911, basically.
Yeah, when they designed it.
But he couldn't get it. He couldn't get anybody in Canada to be interested in it. So he went to the States. It was Syracuse, New York, and Gillette, the razor man. You know, He liked it, and he put up the money to build it.
And the lighting this is like carbide lighting?
Carbide lighting, yes. That's the generator. It's called a generator. And you put water in here, and then there's carbide down below, and that changes the drip. So if water brighter, it lets more water in.
And then the gas comes up?
The gas comes up.
Through these tubes?
Right, and right to here, to this little tail light,
and
to the headlight.
Cannonball Baker, which is a name most people may be familiar with, of our vintage anyhow, rode one of these in 1922, and he left New York and he arrived in San Francisco in 173 hours.
Good Lord.
Okay, we've talked about how it goes.
Yeah.
How do we stop? Where are the brakes? I don't see.
See that pedal?
Oh, it's hiding over here.
yeah.
Foot pedal. Just a little foot, just like on a scooter.
It's the same thing, yeah.
It's like a postage stamp, doesn't it?
And that's where, so the brake would be on the rear?
On the rear wheel,
On
yes.
the rear wheel, so no front brake. Where would you find such a motorcycle?
A fellow by the name of George Dummigan phoned me. Lovely fellow. And he said, have you ever been down to Robin Bergstrom's, which was an old garage built around 1912, and it was full of antiques. Everything from spark plugs to fittings to lights
To a Ner-a-Car, let me guess.
a Ner-a-Car. And I thought, I almost dropped my coffee. He said, I think it's coming up for sale. So I said, if it is, George, would you let me know? Robin talked to the family that they would like to sell it, that I could go to a good home, and that's how it came about. I was very excited about it because I think they're a marvelous creation. It's just a work of art.
Stunning.
Absolute work of art.
You were telling me that you had this on loan to a museum?
Yeah, the Guggenheim had it for a couple of years. It came back much nicer than when it went out. They detailed it and they signed it up and they looked after it beautifully. So I wrote them a letter thanking them.
Well, this is just a fabulous machine. Everybody would have to agree. I mean, it's. Thank you very much.
Oh, you're more than welcome, Clive. It's a pleasure to talking to you, and I hope people will get a kick out of it.
I know that they will.
Oh, one more time there, Steve.
I think we're good.
Taking it apart pretty quick. Putting it back together takes a lot more time. Traditionally, we pull the engines apart in the wintertime. I'll go through it completely from stem to stern, very closely inspect all the individual pieces. And once you wash it up and start to prep it for reassembly, then I'll take note of stuff that I may not have seen when I'm dismantling it that I have to source to put it back together. It's getting long in the tooth. This bike's it's almost 50 years old. I'll probably spend about 30 or 40 days trying to round up bits that I need for it. There is a fair amount of stuff available, but it's drying up in a hurry. I'm not including the transmission install. I'll be taking the head apart, completely cleaning it, reseating all the valves, checking all the wear in the cylinder walls, re-ringing, honing the cylinders, going into the crankshaft, making sure all the clearances are correct, checking everything else, cam change, primary drive. It's a major thing, but it's basically what everybody does their race bikes every year. 500 transmission 101. You know, I can't describe how happy it makes me feel. Like I did over 40 years in the retail industry and the motorcycle trade. Beautiful. Now I can sort of have control over what I do, and one of the things I wanted to do was fiddle around with my old bikes.
If you're not a fan of loud pipes, you might want to listen up. You're going to hear a lot more about something new on two wheels. Next up, we discuss the future of motorcycle riding.
Electric motorcycles. What do you think of that, guys?
I think it's cool.
I do too. I drive an electric car, and everybody says, well, you shouldn't be able to drive that, and you're going to run out of battery and all these other things. But the range on these new electric motorcycles is, you were telling me, Steve, what's the range on?
Well, any of the ones that I looked into, it seems to vary from about 45 miles up to about 140 miles, depending on what mode they're on. They all have an economy mode or a sport mode, it seems. So,
Yeah.
you know, but
Well, you know, and the thing a lot of people don't realize is in southern Vancouver Island here, 15,000 kilometers a year. That's the average. That's 41 kilometers a day. That's what we drive. That's what we drive. Now, yeah, you're not going to get on that motorcycle and go do an iron butt ride, you may say.
I had one go by me about a year or two ago, and I just saw this bike, and I'm going, there's no sound. And then I went, it's an electric bike. It was pretty cool.
So you can actually do an iron butt ride up one. Terry Hirschner did an IBA 1,000-mile ride in less than 24 hours on a heavily modified Zero motorcycle. Now, there was many stops for battery changes and things like that, but you can do it.
Can you plug them into like the car ones?
Yeah, the
like, you know, at the mall?
J112 plug. There's an option, I think,
I
Steve.
think so, yeah. I think you can get an adapter.
Yeah, there's an option on the Zero motorcycle for that, I would think. So, Kim, you would probably know this. What kind of motorcycle won the Pikes Peak race in 2014 to the top?
A Ducati?
Yes, it did, but it wasn't the fastest motorcycle to get to the top.
No, Kim has the fastest motorcycle.
The fastest motorcycle was an electric motorcycle. The fastest gas-powered motorcycle at Pikes Peak is, in fact, a Ducati.
Wow.
Cool.
Wow.
I've had an opportunity to ride 2 different types of electric motorcycles, and I found them really, really, really cool. As soon as you touch the throttle, like they're 100% torque and power output right away. And what we were talking about earlier, like there's no sound. All you hear is maybe the belt.
So you need to put a playing card on a clothes peg on this boat?
Yeah, think of the accessories, you know, an engine sound, you know. Like,
Ooh, aftermarket accessory.
But they work really good, you know. And what you were saying earlier there about the range, you know, when I was in the retail industry, I was looking at electric motorcycles to sell. And I've discovered very quickly that the first questions out of a prospective customer's mouth was, how much and how far do they go? Right. And, you know, I looked into a lot of the situations where people would go to and from work, and the daily average is about 15 kilometers to and from work. So you can drive a bike like that for 3 or 4 days, you know, even though you plug it in every night. It's not a worry.
Yeah.
So, it kind of shatters the myth of the loud pipes and saving lives kind of
Oh,
video.
exactly. And we were talking a little earlier before the show, myself and Steve, the patent for the first electric motorcycle was issued when?
1896.
And what was the range of that motorcycle?
50 miles, 80 kilometers.
That's 1896, not 1996.
What?
Yeah, oh yeah. That's nothing really new, you know.
It's not earth-shattering.
No.
Well, it could be.
But even back then, the question was, hey, how if it only goes 50 miles, and then if somebody says, yeah, I just drive to and from work, but what if I want to go up island for a trip? You know, I'm going to be restricted, because that always seems to hold people back on that, you know.
That's just fear of the unknown, right?
Yeah.
And once we start seeing more of these, I think people will get on board and kind of go.
Battery technology is moving forward at a great rate. And I think that once we see even more technology come into that area, we'll see way more of the electric motorcycles on the road.
It's being pushed by companies right now that it's going to be close to production and maybe even made a few. What's the world's most powerful, fastest motorcycle, street legal motorcycle? It's called a Lightning 218. The reason it's called a 218 or 218 is because it does 218 miles an hour. That's 350 kilometers an hour.
What?
Yeah.
On a bike?
On a motorcycle.
That's
and
crazy.
that is out there,
Yeah.
like right now. They're not, I don't believe they're in full production right now, but
That's like the Kawasaki H2R.
Yeah, it's just.
So is there like a
Incredible.
future in racing for these types of bikes?
They race them now. They've had at the Isle of Man, and they also have sport racing class. And it's I've seen a YouTube video of it, and it's kind of unusual watching 10 motorcycles come into a corner. There's no sound except for brakes and chains, etc.
Harley's old adversary, Indian.
Yes.
Okay. What do you think of when I say papoose? Okay,
Small motorcycle.
Right, well, exactly. Well, they made this little mini motorcycle, right, in the 40s and 50s, and they called it a papoose. But in 1967, Indian built a prototype electric motorcycle, and they called it the papoose. Never saw production.
Dare I say an electrifying topic? Okay then. Next we go from new school to old school as we drop in on Ray Prince to get a Peashooter update.
Yeah, it's gonna look nice.
So there's the 29 Peashooter. Lots of progress. It's looking great.
We finished the wheels off, front and back, with all the brake assembly. We finished the dash off.
So all this stuff here, you had to dismantle every single piece and detail it, get it plated individually, fit it all. Yeah, boy, it feels beautiful like that brake.
Yeah.
It's gonna be nice having a good operating front brake.
It does feel good. You know, those are original shoes. So are the rear ones.
Oh, fantastic.
It does look nice.
This must have taken you some time.
We got a gauge, we got the light inside. We managed to get all the little switches on. These were missing, actually. Had to purchase these. Found a fella in Pennsylvania that had the information. He actually had a seat. We finished fitting the carburetors. We got all the clutch operational now. We fitted all the boards.
Boy, the wheels sure look good, Ray. The black with the pinstripe on them, and you got all the tires mounted up, and you've got the primary drive and the clutch and everything all assembled.
Yeah.
You can kick it over there now.
Then they're kicking over.
Toe piece of the rocker clutch will flip up out of the way so you don't get your toe stuck under it. Boy, lots of detail there, Ray. Brake linings actually go on the outside of the drum on this model.
We actually got a brand new old stock drum out of Santa Cruz, California.
I can't, that's unbelievable.
Original equipment, yeah.
Yeah.
It's been a year in the works getting all the sheet metal done. Tanks need a little bit of soldering. All we have left to do at this point, I think, is fitting the exhaust system on it, making some brackets, fit a rear chain, put a battery in her, flash her up.
These days, there's a place that's getting a whole lot of attention in the motorcycle world.
For the adventure.
That place where pavement fades to gravel.
Gives you a whole different venue to ride your motorcycle in.
Night and day different than street riding.
Off-road takes you to places you can't get.
When he's not racing rallies like Dakar or Baja, this Duncan BC insurance broker's an adventure riding advocate.
By the end of the day, you're all going to be so thrilled you're going to want to go riding off-road only.
Some of the Farkle gangs already made the switch.
I did. I took the plates off my Harley for the first time ever.
We came to Dawn seeking wisdom.
Learn why I fall off when I fall off.
Dawn's one of the few fully certified BMW off-road riding instructors in the world.
This is for the guy that wants to go and tour North America on his bike and the road's washed out. I'm going to help you get across that safely.
The course is designed for big adventure bikes, but for some, dual sport means something like a DRZ 400. With anything new, there's bound to be some nervousness.
Yes, there were lots of apprehensions because I brought my big bike today. That's right. Nice job.
I'm used to the street, I'm used to dry roads. Riding in the mud and the wet and the grass is very intimidating to me, but it's been fun. Actually, super fun.
These bikes are made to be dropped.
And then you lift with your legs.
Dawn shows us how to pick them up again.
If you're on an adventure ride, if I have to use a stick and pry it up, I mean, whatever it takes. Good. That's better. If I come through this field and I jumped off the bike here, this bike would continue all the way to the end of the field by itself.
On day one, we learn what the bike already knows.
So the only thing that makes it fall over is you.
We begin with balance.
That's really the secret to riding.
That and riding position.
Push-up position, elbows up. That's a proper riding position.
We take it slow, real slow.
If you've got your knees in this position, it's very hard to creep forward. And as you get panicky, you start gripping your bike.
Standing gives you far more control.
Weighting the peg, weighting this peg. You get better vision. Weighting this peg. Your legs act as shock absorbers. So you're actually giving your bike way more suspension by standing.
A few more circuits and everyone's improving.
Way better stand.
You're supposed to pick up one thing from a class. I picked up a dozen things, just amazing.
And it's easy. It's not as hard as I anticipated.
Feeling more comfortable, confident on the bike.
I'm having so much fun.
After some bike adjustments and a meal break,
That's more like it. Look at your wrists now.
it's back on the field.
Excellent.
Preparing for day two's off-road ride.
How to turn, how to go uphill, downhill, brake.
I'm having a blast. My bike's still upright, so am I, so we'll see what happens.
Now we take our skills to the trail.
Automatically using the things you learned, you accomplish things and your confidence builds.
Impressed with myself, for sure.
Surprised in myself, surprised in the group of people I was with.
I didn't think I'd be able to do this course. Thought I would really struggle, and Don's instruction and his patience have been amazing.
Don showed me a technique how to hold onto the motorcycle correctly with my knees. Transformed the way I feel.
I would say it's 80% in your head. I know what the bike can do now.
Potholes, dirt, mud, rocks, gravel.
You think you can't do it, you won't do it. We learn how to do the drills in a safe environment, so you learn that you can do things.
I surprised myself.
And so then you have confidence to do things.
And I think that's going to help transfer over to my street riding skill.
It's helped my self-esteem, my riding ability. You guys all cheering me on really helps.
Adventure riding.
To me, it's every time I leave the driveway.
Wherever you live, it's less than a tank away.
We hope you enjoyed hanging out with us at Farkle Garage. Have you got a story or know someone who does? Send us an email. Share it with us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter and we'll share it with the world. And remember, in a biker's world, there are no strangers, only friends we haven't met yet. Later,
Strap on my brothers, boots are on the ground. Crack the throttle, hear that rumbling playing in my head.
Riding gear provided by Clive. Technical riding gear.
Robbers on the road, wind in my face, riding down the highway.